Hello, my name is Lucius, and today I'm going to share with you a true story of suffering and faith. Stay with me until the end and find out what will happen to Fátima. Do you believe in angels, or do you think we are alone, without any divine protection? Stay with me in this true story and discover how faith and courage can transform even the most desperate situations. Meet Fátima, a 60-year-old woman, a renowned feng shui consultant. Her life has always been dedicated to helping families, professionals, and businesses find balance and harmony. Elegant and well-dressed, Fátima has always taken care of her appearance and health, regularly engaging in physical activities. Fátima has been separated for over 10 years, and since then, she hasn't had any serious relationships. She lives with her 2 children, Reynold, 27, a young entrepreneur with an adventurous spirit, and Emily, 23, who is finishing her architecture degree, a young woman full of dreams and ambitions. The house is a sanctuary of peace, decorated according to feng shui principles, reflecting the serenity and balance Fátima seeks in her life. Recently, Fátima started feeling a constant pain in her abdomen, accompanied by frequent nausea. Initially, she thought it was something temporary, just a simple discomfort. However, the pain began to intensify, becoming a constant and disturbing presence. Fátima consulted several doctors, who conducted numerous tests, but none could diagnose the problem. Frustration grew as the pain persisted, disrupting her peace and serenity. In her kitchen, a cozy space with light-colored walls and shelves adorned with plants and crystals, Fátima was preparing breakfast. The aroma of fresh coffee filled the air, and the morning sun streamed through the windows, softly illuminating the room. Emily entered, noticing her mother's pale appearance. "Mom, you look pale today. Is everything okay?" Emily asked, concerned. "I'm fine, dear. Just a bit tired, I think," Fátima replied, trying to mask the discomfort. "It's probably due to the stress of having too much work." Reynold, who was at the table with a cup of coffee and looking at his phone, glanced up and said, "You've been feeling this pain for weeks, Mom. I think we should see a doctor again." Fátima sighed, placing a hand over her stomach. "I've been to several doctors, Reynold. They didn't find anything. It's just a passing discomfort." Emily, determined, placed her hand on her mother's shoulder and insisted, "But, Mom, we need to find out what's going on. I'm going to schedule an appointment with another specialist." A few days later, Fátima was sitting in the waiting room of a new doctor's office. The environment was sterile and cold, with white walls and diplomas hanging. The distant sound of footsteps echoed down the corridors. When the doctor entered with a serious expression, Fátima felt a chill run down her spine. "Fátima, after reviewing all your tests, we have a concern. We found a mass in your stomach that needs to be investigated further," the doctor said, looking directly at her. "What does that mean, doctor?" Fátima asked, feeling her heart race. "We need to do a biopsy to confirm, but there is a chance that it might be cancer. I understand this is difficult to hear, but we need to act quickly." Back at home, in the warmth of the living room, where the walls were adorned with artwork and feng shui objects, Fátima gathered the courage to tell her children. They were all sitting on the couch, the soft light of the late afternoon streaming through the windows. "Reynold, Emily, the doctor said it might be cancer," Fátima said, her voice trembling. Reynold was in shock. "Cancer? That can't be. You've always been so healthy." Emily, trying to be strong, hugged her mother. "We'll get through this together, Mom. No matter what happens, we'll be by your side." The search for answers seemed endless. Each medical appointment increased frustration and anxiety. Fátima, who always had all the answers for others, now found herself lost, watching her health deteriorate without a clear explanation. She spent sleepless nights, her thoughts swirling like a storm, wondering where she had gone wrong, what was wrong with her body. Finally, after months of uncertainty and numerous tests, a doctor discovered the terrible truth. Fátima had stomach cancer. The news hit like a bomb, shattering the tranquility she had built over the years. The diagnosis was a devastating blow, a moment frozen in time, where every word from the doctor seemed to echo endlessly. The devastating diagnosis shook Fátima and her family. The fear of the unknown and the severity of the disease brought a cloud of despair over them. Reynold and Emily united to offer all the support possible to their mother, but the road ahead seemed dark and uncertain. The physical and emotional pain Fátima was facing was immense, and the reality of her condition began to weigh on everyone. Fátima felt like a ship adrift, without a safe harbor, her hopes shattering like glass. On a quiet night, Fátima, Reynold, and Emily were sitting in the living room, the soft lighting from the lamps creating a cozy atmosphere. The room, decorated with fengshui objects, reflected the serenity that Fátima had always tried to maintain. Fátima looked at her children and broke the silence, her voice trembling. "I never imagined something like this could happen to me. I've always taken care of my health. I've always done everything right," Fátima said, her voice trembling with emotion. "Mom, you're strong. We'll find a way to overcome this." Reynold tried to comfort her with a firm and determined look. Emily, trying to hold back tears, said, "We need to keep hope alive. We'll face this together, one day at a time." To you who are with me in this story, what would you do if, in a moment, everything you believed in was shaken? How will Fátima find the strength to face such a cruel truth? The days following the diagnosis were an emotional whirlwind for Fátima and her family. The fear of the unknown, anxiety about the future, and physical pain began to take hold. Fátima found herself on an emotional roller coaster where hope and despair alternated constantly. In the living room, illuminated by the soft light of the lamps, Fátima sat on the couch, surrounded by Reynold and Emily. The atmosphere was tense, and the silence was heavy. Reynold, holding his mother's hand, tried to find the right words. "Mother, we need to talk about the treatment. The doctor said chemotherapy is the first step," Reynold said, his voice full of concern. Fátima looked at him, hesitant. "Chemotherapy is very aggressive. I'm afraid of the side effects. Is there another way?" Emily nodded, her eyes filled with tears. "It's going to be hard, but we'll be with you every step of the way. We don't want to lose you." Reynold squeezed his mother's hand. "Please, Mother, give the treatment a chance. We can't give up without a fight." Fátima took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the decision. "All right, I'll do the treatment. Not for me, but for you." Fátima began chemotherapy the following week. The hospital was cold and impersonal, a stark contrast to the tranquility of her home. During the first session, Emily was by her mother's side, holding her hand tightly. Sitting in a reclining chair with a needle inserted into her vein, Fátima felt a cold chill run through her body. "Mother, I know this is scary, but you're the strongest person I know," Emily said, trying to smile. "We'll get through this together." "Thank you, dear. Your presence gives me strength," Fátima replied, trying to stay calm. A few days passed, and the effects of the chemotherapy began to take a toll on Fátima. She felt constant nausea, the loss of appetite was devastating, and the exhaustion seemed never-ending. Her body, once strong and healthy, was now fragile and vulnerable. The energy that once moved her seemed to have been drained. At home, in the kitchen that was once a place of joy and unity, Fátima tried to prepare a simple meal. The shelves, usually decorated with crystals and plants, seemed less vibrant. She picked up an apple, but the smell made her feel suddenly nauseous. With a groan, she dropped the fruit and leaned on the counter, feeling the weakness take over. Reynold entered the kitchen and saw his mother struggling. Quickly, he approached and held her by the arm. "Mother, you need to rest. I can take care of this," he said, his voice full of concern. Fátima looked at him with sad eyes. "I hate feeling like this, so helpless. I've always been the rock of the family. You still are, Mother. You just need some time to recover. Let us take care of you," Reynold replied, squeezing her hand. Later, sitting in her office, surrounded by books and decorative objects, Fátima looked at the empty desk. She felt a tightness in her chest, a sense of loss that went beyond the illness. It was as if a vital part of her identity was disappearing. Suddenly, a wave of nausea hit her. Fátima quickly got up and ran to the bathroom, vomiting violently. She leaned on the sink, feeling weak and dizzy. When she tried to return to the office, she nearly fainted, needing to sit on the floor to catch her breath. Reynold, hearing the noise coming from the office, entered and saw the desolate expression on his mother's face. "Mother, I know this is hard, but your health is the most important thing right now. You can always go back to work when you're better," he said, trying to cheer her up. "I know, but it's as if a part of me is being ripped away," Fátima replied, her voice heavy with sadness. "We're all here for you, Mother. We'll get through this together." As the treatment progressed, Fátima was forced to stop working. Giving up consulting, her passion and her source of livelihood, was a deep emotional blow. The phone, once always ringing with clients eager for her guidance, was now silent. The feeling of uselessness and sadness began to take over her, obscuring the light that had always shone within her. She felt incapable, as if she had lost her purpose. The energy and vitality that used to define her work were now absent. The office, a place where she felt powerful and effective, had turned into a constant reminder of her weakness and vulnerability. As the days passed, Fátima began to reflect on her life and her faith. She spent more time meditating, trying to find meaning in the suffering she was enduring. The physical pain was intense, but the emotional pain of seeing her life fall apart was even more devastating. Fátima began to lose her faith in life and spirituality, wondering, is there really something beyond this earthly plane? These doubts gnawed at her, adding another layer of suffering to her already heavy burden. When reality becomes too heavy to bear, how far can faith take someone? Stay with me as we discover how Fátima will face the fear and despair that threatened to consume her. While Fátima faced the overwhelming weight of her diagnosis and the debilitating effects of treatment, the unity and support of her family became her foundation. Oliver, Fátima's ex-husband, returned to offer his support in every possible way. Reynold and Emily, despite their own busy lives, devoted themselves to caring for their mother. They took turns accompanying her to medical appointments, prepared healthy meals, and surrounded her with love and care. Friends and neighbors also came together, creating a supportive network. They organized visits to cheer her up, brought meals, and helped with daily tasks. The community's solidarity was a light in the darkness Fátima was facing. In the living room, now more lively thanks to the constant visits from friends and family, Reynold and Emily were sitting with their mother, watching a movie. The soft light from the lamps created a cozy atmosphere. Fátima, wrapped in a blanket, seemed calmer, surrounded by those she loved. "Mom, you need to eat something. I'll make you a light soup," said Emily, standing up. Fátima smiled faintly. "Thank you, dear. You've all been amazing. I don't know what I would do without you." Reynold took his mother's hand. "We're here for you, Mom. We always have been, and we always will be." The following days were filled with hospital visits for chemotherapy sessions. Each trip was a harsh reality that Fátima had to face. Reynold and Emily took turns accompanying their mother, ensuring she was never alone. At the hospital, during a chemotherapy session, Reynold sat by his mother's side. The treatment room was cold and lifeless, with reclining chairs and infusion machines. The sound of the machines and the sight of other patients made the environment even more desolate. "Mom, you've been through so many tough things. I know this seems unbearable, but we need to believe that better days will come," said Reynold, holding Fátima's hand. Fátima looked at her son, trying to maintain her composure. "Reynold, it's so hard to keep hope when each day seems worse than the last. I know, Mom, but you always taught me never to give up, to always fight. I'm here with you, and we're not going to give up together," Reynold replied, with tears in his eyes. After the hospital sessions, the moments at home were essential for Fátima's emotional recovery. Reynold and Emily did everything they could to keep the atmosphere light and full of love. At home, in the kitchen, Emily was preparing soup for her mother. While she was chopping vegetables, Fátima slowly entered, holding onto the counter for balance. "Mom, you shouldn't be standing. Please sit down. I'll bring the soup to you," said Emily, hurrying to help her mother. Fátima sighed and sat down with difficulty. "I miss doing simple things, Emily. Even making a meal has become a challenge." Emily placed her hand on her mother's shoulder. "We're going to get through this, Mom. I believe in you, and we're here to take care of you, just like you always took care of us." One day, Oliver invited Fátima out for coffee, wanting to give her a bit of normalcy amid the chaos. Despite feeling weak, Fátima accepted the invitation, feeling excited about the prospect of leaving the house. The cafe was a cozy place, with soft lighting, polished wooden tables, and the inviting aroma of freshly brewed coffee. Sitting at a table near the window, where the sunlight softly filtered through the curtains, Oliver looked at Fátima with concern. "Fátima, you are an incredible woman. I know all of this is extremely difficult, but I want you to know that I'm here for you." "Always," said Oliver, holding her hand. Fátima smiled, feeling a wave of emotion. "Thank you, Oliver. Your presence means so much to me. Sometimes I feel so lost, so weak." Oliver squeezed her hand. "You've always been the strongest person I know. I believe in your strength and your ability to overcome this." As they talked, Fátima felt her heartbeat faster. Oliver's support brought back memories of happier times, and she realized that there were still deep feelings for him. "Oliver, your presence has been a light for me. I don't know how I'd be coping with all this without you." Oliver smiled, his eyes reflecting the sincerity of his words. "We're in this together, Fátima, and we'll get through this together." Later that same day, Fátima decided to spend some time in her office, a place that had always brought her comfort and inspiration. Sitting in her favorite chair, surrounded by books and decorative items, she tried to concentrate on work. While reviewing some documents, a wave of nausea hit her. Fátima quickly stood up and ran to the bathroom, vomiting violently. She leaned on the sink, feeling weak and dizzy. When she tried to return to the office, she nearly fainted, needing to sit on the floor to catch her breath. Reynold entered the office, seeing the desolate expression on his mother's face. "Mom, I know this is hard, but your health is the most important thing right now. You can always get back to work when you're better," he said, trying to cheer her up. "I know, but it's as if a part of me is being ripped away," Fátima responded, her voice heavy with sadness. "We're all here for you, Mom. We're going to get through this together." As the treatment progressed, Fátima was forced to stop working. Leaving behind her consulting work, her passion and source of livelihood, was a deep emotional blow. The phone, once always ringing with clients eager for her guidance, was now silent. The feeling of uselessness and sadness began to take hold of her, obscuring the light that had always shone within her. She felt incapable, as if she had lost her purpose. The energy and vitality that used to define her work were now absent. The office, a place where she felt powerful and effective, had turned into a constant reminder of her weakness and vulnerability. In the quietness of her living room, illuminated only by the soft light of the lamps, Fátima sat in her favorite armchair, looking out the window. The night was clear, and the stars shone in the sky, but Fátima could not find peace. Her heart was heavy, and she felt a growing darkness inside her. Is there really something beyond this earthly plane? Fátima thought, her faith shaken by the relentless suffering. She remembered the moments of meditation and spiritual connection that had once strengthened her, but now seemed distant and useless. Why is this happening to me? Is everything I believed in just an illusion? Tears silently streamed down her face as she questioned everything she had ever believed. The feeling of spiritual abandonment was eating away at her, adding a layer of emotional pain to the already unbearable physical agony. In the darkest moments, can love be the light we need? Discover how Fátima's family's unwavering support will be put to the test as the journey becomes even more challenging. Amidst the chaos, Fátima found solace in her feng shui practice. She spent time organizing her meditation space, adjusting crystals, plants, and decorative elements that promoted positive energy and harmony. Despite her fragile health, Fátima sought strength in her spiritual practices, believing that the balance of the environment could reflect in her recovery. Feng shui had become an anchor, something that gave Fátima the serenity she always cherished. In the most tranquil corner of her home, Fátima had created a meditation space. The environment was adorned with shining crystals, green plants, and soft curtains that swayed with the gentle breeze. Colorful cushions were arranged on the floor, inviting introspection and peace. Sitting in the center of this sanctuary, Fátima closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She felt the energy of the place calming her mind and body. "I need to keep my faith and strength," she thought. Emily entered silently, observing her mother. "Mom, are you feeling better?" she asked, approaching. Fátima opened her eyes and smiled softly. "Yes, dear. This space brings me peace. Feng shui has always helped me find balance." Emily sat down beside her mother. "I'd like to learn more about feng shui. Maybe it could help us all find some peace amidst all this." Fátima, with a sparkle in her eyes, began to explain. Feng shui is about the flow of energy. Every object has a purpose, a position. Everything needs to be in harmony so that positive energy can flow freely. Look at these crystals, for instance. They absorb and emit energy, helping to purify the environment. Besides the meditation space, Fátima also found comfort in the garden. The colorful flowers and the gentle sound of water from the fountain created an atmosphere of serenity. Reynold helped his mother walk slowly through the garden, stopping to admire the plants she had planted herself. "Mom, I know you love this garden. You've always said that nature has incredible healing power," said Reynold, holding his mother's arm to support her. Fátima smiled, inhaling the fragrance of the flowers. "Yes, my dear. Nature teaches us so much about resilience and renewal. Every plant here was cared for with love and attention, just as we must care for ourselves." Reynold stopped in front of an especially vibrant plant. "This has always been your favorite, hasn't it?" Fátima nodded. "Yes, jasmine. Its flowers are delicate, but the scent is strong and enduring, a perfect metaphor for life. Even in difficulties, we need to find our inner strength." One evening, Oliver visited Fátima to spend some time together. They sat in the living room, a cozy environment illuminated by the soft light of lamps and aromatic candles. Oliver looked around, admiring the harmony of the place. "You've always had a gift for creating environments that soothe the soul, Fátima. This place is a refuge." Fátima smiled, lightly touching the crystals on the coffee table. "Feng shui has always been more than a hobby for me. It's a way of life, a way to find peace and balance even in storms." Oliver took her hand. "And you've succeeded. The serenity of this place reflects your own strength and resilience." Fátima sighed, feeling touched by Oliver's words. "Sometimes, it's hard to maintain this serenity, but this space reminds me of who I am and what I can overcome." Oliver looked deeply into Fátima's eyes. "And you're not alone. I'm here. Reynold and Emily are here. We're all here for you." At night, Fátima returned to her meditation space, lighting candles and incense that filled the air with a comforting aroma. Sitting on the cushions, she closed her eyes and began to meditate, trying to connect with her inner strength. "May the energy of this place heal me. May I find peace and strength within myself," she whispered to herself. Could inner balance be the key to facing the greatest challenges? Fátima finds refuge in her beliefs, but what more might she discover on this path? Stay with me to find out more. Despite everyone's efforts, Fátima's condition continued to worsen. She consulted several specialists and tried various treatment options, but nothing seemed to work. Each failed attempt increased her despair. Fátima spent almost all the money she had accumulated during her successful career, searching for a cure that seemed increasingly distant. Disillusionment consumed her, and Fátima began to question her faith and feel increasingly isolated. Fátima was sitting in the chair of a renowned oncologist's office, a clinical and impersonal environment. The doctor, with a grave expression, reviewed the latest results. "Mrs. Fátima, I'm sorry, but the results are not good. The chemotherapy is not working. We're just dealing with the side effects, and your condition is worsening." Fátima felt a crushing weight on her chest. "Is there any hope, doctor? Anything I can do?" The doctor sighed deeply, his eyes reflecting the seriousness of the situation. "We'll continue trying other approaches, but I need to be honest with you. The chances of success are very slim. The disease is progressing rapidly, and we need to prepare for all possibilities, including the need for palliative care." Fátima swallowed hard, the overwhelming reality hitting her. I just want to live. I just want more time with my children." The doctor nodded, his gaze compassionate. "I understand, and we'll do everything we can. But it's also important to take care of the quality of life you have left." Back at home, Fátima was sitting on the living room sofa, looking at the medical papers scattered on the coffee table. The soft lights in the room barely managed to ease the darkness she felt in her heart. Emily entered the room, noticing her mother's downcast expression. "Mom, what did the doctor say? Is there any news?" Emily asked, trying to hide the anxiety in her voice. Fátima looked at her daughter, her eyes filled with tears. "He said the chemotherapy isn't working. I'm getting weaker and weaker. I feel death approaching, Emily. I don't know what else to do." Emily knelt beside her mother, holding her hands. "We won't give up, Mom. We'll keep trying. You're strong. We'll find a way." Fátima shook her head, her voice full of despair. "I'm spending all my money, trying every option, but nothing is working. I feel so powerless." Emily, with tears in her eyes, hugged her mother tightly. "I can't imagine my life without you. I don't want to lose you, Mom. Please don't give up." The two embraced, crying together, sharing the pain and fear of an uncertain future. Later that day, Fátima locked herself in her office, surrounded by documents and medical bills. The space that once brought her so much joy now felt like a cell of sadness and frustration. As she looked at the papers, she thought about all the savings she was spending. Her successful career, her money, everything seemed pointless now. Reynold knocked gently on the door before entering. "Mom, are you okay? Can I come in?" Fátima looked up, visibly emotional. "Come in, son. We need to talk." Reynold sat down beside her, seeing the pile of bills. "I know it's hard, but we're here for you. We can get through this together." Fátima sighed deeply. "Reynold, I'm spending all the money I've saved over my life. It all seems so meaningless now. Nothing is working, and I'm starting to lose faith." Reynold held his mother's hand firmly and embraced her, his tears falling freely. "Mom, I don't want to lose you. You're everything to me. Please don't give up." Fátima, crying in her son's arms, whispered, "I promise I won't give up, Reynold. We'll fight together, until the end." In the garden, where Fátima used to find peace, she sat on a bench, looking at the flowers she herself had planted. The gentle sound of water from the fountain was in stark contrast to the turmoil in her heart. Oliver approached, sitting beside her. "Fátima, I know it's incredibly difficult, but you've always been the strongest woman I've ever known. Don't let this disease take that away from you." Fátima looked at him, tears streaming down her face. "I'm so tired, Oliver. Tired of fighting, tired of hoping. I feel like I'm sinking into a bottomless pit." Oliver put his arm around her, offering comfort. "We're here to help you out of that pit. We'll find a way together." "Fátima, I've been thinking, I want to live with you again. Can we rekindle our marriage?" Fátima, surprised, looked at him with wide eyes. "Oliver, do you really want that?" Oliver nodded, holding her hands. "Yes, more than anything. I realize I should never have left you. I want to spend every moment we have together. Let's face this together, as a family." Fátima looked at the flowers in front of her, feeling the depth of Oliver's words. "Oliver, I've always loved you, and even after all this time, that flame never went out. But what if I can't overcome this? What if the disease takes me before we can start over?" Oliver squeezed her hands tighter. "Don't think like that, Fátima. What matters is the time we have, not what might happen. I want every day to be filled with love and hope. We'll face every moment together, and I'll be by your side, no matter what happens." Fátima, tears in her eyes, finally smiled. "Yes, Oliver. Let's start over. I need you now more than ever." That night, Fátima lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. The shadows danced on the walls, reflecting her troubled mind. She began to think about all the prayers she had said, all the moments she had tried to keep the faith. "Does God really hear me?" Fátima thought. "Is there any purpose in all of this?" Silent tears streamed down as she questioned her spirituality and life itself. The feeling of abandonment was overwhelming, and she felt more isolated than ever. She sensed death's presence drawing closer, like a shadow slowly approaching. Am I really going to die? Fátima thought, fear and uncertainty consuming her heart. When everything seems lost, how do you find a spark of hope? Follow Fátima as she faces her deepest despair and seeks a reason to keep fighting. Since childhood, Fátima had a strong connection with her guardian angel. In times of crisis, she always found comfort in the idea of a protective divine presence. Now, in her darkest hour, Fátima turned once again to this belief. She prayed and meditated intensely, seeking answers and strength to carry on. The presence of the angel was a beacon of hope amidst the darkness. Fátima sat alone in the living room, the environment shrouded in a tranquil twilight. The curtains were drawn, allowing only a soft light to penetrate the room. She held her Bible with trembling hands, feeling the need to reconnect with her faith. With a deep sigh, she opened the Bible, searching for comfort. Fátima found the first passage that always brought her solace, Psalms 91 verses 11 to 12. Reading aloud, she let the words wrap around her like a mantle of protection. For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. They will lift you up in their hands, so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. As she read, an unusual calmness flooded her heart. It was as if the angel's presence was there, beside her, offering a glimpse of hope in the midst of the darkness. When she finished reading, silent tears streamed down her face. Fátima closed her eyes, feeling a comforting warmth envelop her body. She allowed herself a moment of surrender, entrusting her worries and fears to the divine presence that had always accompanied her. Later, Fátima retreated to her bedroom, seeking a more intimate space to continue her reading. The room was dark, except for the moonlight filtering through the window, creating a mystical ambience. She sat on the bed, the Bible open on her lap. Turning the pages, Fátima found another comforting passage, Matthew 18 verse 10. With a soft voice, almost a whisper, she read to herself, "See that you do not despise one of these little ones. For I tell you that their angels in heaven always see the face of my Father in heaven." These words took her back to her childhood. She closed her eyes, allowing the memories to surface. It was a sunny afternoon and Fátima, just 6 years old, was playing in her garden. The sound of children's laughter and birdsong filled the air. She was picking flowers when suddenly, a luminous figure appeared before her. It was an angel, with shining wings and a serene expression. He knelt beside her, smiling warmly. "Do not be afraid, Fátima. I am here to watch over you," said the angel in a soft, reassuring voice. Little Fátima smiled, feeling safe and protected. "Will you stay with me forever?" she asked innocently. The angel nodded, placing a gentle hand on her head. "Always. I am your guardian angel, and I will never leave you." This memory had always brought comfort to Fátima, reminding her of the constant and protective presence of her guardian angel. But life had gradually erased that memory, replacing it with disbelief, with unnecessary materialism. On another night, sitting in her meditation space, surrounded by crystals and lit candles, Fátima closed her eyes and began to meditate. The air was filled with the gentle scent of incense, creating a serene and sacred atmosphere. As she breathed deeply, she visualized her guardian angel, a figure of bright light, hovering beside her. "Guardian angel, please give me strength. I am lost and need your guidance. Show me the path to healing, to peace." The room seemed to grow warmer, and Fátima felt a sense of peace. It was as if the angel's presence was intensifying, filling the space with an almost palpable energy. Suddenly feeling the need to be outdoors, Fátima stepped into the garden. The night was clear, and the stars shone brightly in the sky. The sound of the water from the fountain provided a tranquil background for her thoughts. She sat on a bench, looking at the flowers she had planted with such love. As she reflected, she felt a light breeze pass by her, bringing with it a sense of peace. Suddenly, she heard a soft whisper, almost imperceptible, as if it came from within her mind. "I am always with you, Fátima. Do not be afraid." Fátima was startled, looking around. "Am I going crazy?" she thought, trying to understand if she had really heard that or if it was just her imagination. The garden was silent, but the feeling of a comforting presence remained. Back in her bedroom, Fátima lay on her bed, her eyes fixed on the ceiling. She began to think of all the prayers she had made, all the moments she had tried to keep her faith. Does God really hear me? Fátima wondered. Is there any purpose in all this? Silent tears fell as she questioned her spirituality and her very life. The feeling of abandonment was overwhelming, and she felt more isolated than ever. She felt the presence of death drawing closer, like a shadow slowly approaching. Am I really going to die? Fátima thought, fear and uncertainty consuming her heart. Could invisible forces guide us in our darkest moments? Fátima turns to her faith in search of answers. See how this quest could change everything for her. The doctors confirmed that Fátima's cancer was terminal, and there was no possible cure. This news brought profound despair to her and her family. The weight of reality crushed their hopes. Feeling hopeless, Fátima faced the worst moment of her life. The nights were long and lonely, filled with dark thoughts and overwhelming fears. Fátima was sitting in the chair at the doctor's office, her hands clasped in her lap. Oliver, Reynold, and Emily were by her side, forming a wall of support. The doctor entered, carrying a heavy expression on his face. Mrs. Fátima, the results of the latest tests confirmed that the cancer is terminal. Unfortunately, there is no possible cure. The silence in the room was deafening. Fátima looked at Oliver, her eyes filled with tears. Does this mean that there is nothing more to be done? The doctor slowly nodded his head. We can focus on palliative care to ensure that you are comfortable, but yes, there are no more curative treatments. Emily began to cry desperately, sobbing uncontrollably. Mom, no, I can't lose you. At that moment, Fátima's life flashed before her eyes. She saw her children as babies, their first steps, birthdays, and achievements. The thought that she was really dying, that this was the end, hit her like a devastating wave. Her tears fell silently as the room seemed to collapse around her. Reynold, struggling to maintain his composure, asked, How much time? How much time do we have left? The doctor sighed. It's hard to say precisely, but we're talking about months. Fátima, feeling the weight of the words, held the hands of her children and Oliver. Let's make the most of every moment we have together. The journey home was silent and laden with emotion. Fátima, Oliver, Reynold, and Emily sat in the living room, the atmosphere shrouded in a melancholic twilight. Fátima, sitting on the sofa with a blanket over her shoulders, looked at her family. I know this is hard for all of us, but I want you to know that each of you is my strength. I don't know what I would do without you here with me. Oliver, sitting beside her, took her hand. We are here for you, Fátima, and we will go through this together, every step of the way. Reynold, struggling to keep his voice steady, said, Mom, you have always been our rock. We'll be yours now. We'll take care of you. Emily, still crying, moved closer and hugged her mother. I can't imagine life without you, Mom, but I promise I'll do everything to make each day special. Fátima, feeling the strength of her family, asked Oliver, Dear, can you get the Bible for me? Let's read together and ask God for help. Oliver nodded and fetched the Bible, sitting down again beside Fátima. He opened to Psalms and began to read aloud. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. As he read, they all began to pray together, their voices united in a desperate plea for strength and comfort. Tears streamed down their faces as they asked God to help them face what was to come. Later that night, Fátima lay in her bed, staring at the ceiling. The room was dark, except for the moonlight streaming through the window, casting shadows that danced on the walls. Oliver entered silently and lay down beside her. Oliver, do you think there is a purpose to all of this? Asked Fátima, her voice a whisper. She felt an overwhelming fear of death, an anxiety that suffocated her. Oliver gently ran his hand through her hair. I don't know, Fátima, but I believe that even in the worst circumstances, we can find meaning. You have brought so much light into our lives. Perhaps in some way, we can do the same for you now. Fátima felt a mixture of fear and gratitude. I'm so scared, Oliver. I don't know what comes next. What if I'm not ready? Oliver held her hand firmly. No one is ever truly ready, Fátima, but we're not alone. We'll face this together, one day at a time, and I'll be by your side until the end. Fátima, sensing the sincerity in Oliver's words, found some comfort. Thank you for being here. Your presence means everything to me. The next day, the family decided to have a special dinner. The table was carefully set, and a delicious aroma filled the house. Despite the gravity of the situation, there was a genuine effort to create a moment of joy. Oliver was also present, helping to prepare the dinner. Fátima looked around the table, her eyes shining with tears. "I want you to know that each of you is a gift to me. This moment, here and now, is all I need." Reynold raised his glass. "A toast to our mother, the strongest woman we know. Let's make every moment memorable." Emily, trying to smile through her tears, added, "Let's do it, Mom. Let's live intensely, together." Oliver, holding Fátima's hand, looked at everyone at the table. "From now on, every day will be a celebration of the love and strength we have as a family. Let's support each other and make every second count." At the end of the meal, the emotion became overwhelming. Everyone stood up, hugged each other, and cried profusely, sharing the pain and hope that united them in this difficult moment. That night, Fátima was again in her room. Sitting on the bed, she looked at a family photo on her bedside table. She felt the weight of the diagnosis, but also the warmth of her family's love. "Am I ready to go?" Fátima wondered. "Have I lived my life to the fullest?" She closed her eyes and began to pray, seeking strength and comfort. She felt a familiar presence, a sense of peace that enveloped her. It was as if her guardian angel was there, holding her hand invisibly. "Please, give me strength to face what is to come. Help me make the best use of the time I have left." As Fátima continued her prayer, Oliver entered silently and sat beside her. He wrapped his arm around her, pulling her into a comforting embrace. "We are not alone, Fátima. Together, we will find a way to get through this, and I will be by your side until the end." Fátima looked at Oliver, her eyes filled with gratitude and love. "I know, Oliver. With you, Reynold, and Emily by my side, I know we can face anything. When death approaches, how would you face your final days?" Follow Fátima as she navigates one of the most challenging moments of her life. On a night, Fátima had a vivid dream. She found herself in a field of flowers, where her guardian angel appeared before her. The angel promised to heal her, but there was one condition. Fátima must commit to helping other sick people after her recovery. This dream gave Fátima new hope and a renewed purpose. The angel's promise became a mission, a beacon of light that guided her through the darkness. Fátima was in a vast, dazzling field, filled with colorful flowers gently swaying in the wind. The sky was a deep blue, and the air was filled with the sweet fragrance of the flowers. She felt an indescribable peace, a serenity she hadn't experienced in a long time. She didn't feel the sickness or the pains that tormented her daily. On the contrary, she felt whole, full of health and life. As she walked through the field, she noticed a luminous figure approaching. The angel, with shining wings and an aura of celestial light, appeared before her. It was the same angel she had seen when she was 6 years old, with a serene expression and a gaze full of love and compassion. "Fátima, I have been with you from the beginning, and now I come with a message of hope." Fátima felt a wave of emotion, tears of joy streaming down her face. "You're here again. I thought it might have just been a child's dream." The angel smiled, the light around him pulsing with a warm energy. "It wasn't a dream, Fátima. I have always been by your side. And now, I come with a promise. You will be healed, but there is a condition." "Anything," Fátima said, her voice full of determination. "I'm willing to do anything. You have been given this chance because you kept your faith in God, even in the darkest moments. You did not let fear or the greed of life lead you astray. Now, you must commit to helping other sick people after your recovery. Use your experience and your love to bring hope and healing to those who also suffer." Fátima nodded, feeling a renewed purpose growing within her. "I promise. I promise that I will do everything I can to help others." The angel reached out, gently touching Fátima's forehead. "Then you will be healed. Go and bring light to those in darkness." Fátima woke up abruptly, her heart pounding. She was in her room, the soft light of dawn beginning to filter through the curtains. The dream felt so real, so vivid, that she could hardly believe she was awake. She felt extremely happy, as she hadn't felt in many months. It seemed that life was returning to her body, filling her with energy and hope. Later that morning, Fátima joined Oliver, Reynold, and Emily in the living room. She was radiant, with a renewed energy that everyone noticed immediately. "Mom, you look different today. What happened?" Emily asked, curious. Fátima smiled, her eyes shining with hope. "I had a dream, but it felt so real. I met my guardian angel again. He promised me that I would be healed, but on one condition. I must help other sick people after my recovery." Oliver held Fátima's hand, his eyes full of emotion. "That's amazing, Fátima. Maybe this dream is a sign, a new purpose for you." Reynold nodded, feeling hope growing within him as well. "If that's true, Mom, we'll fight with all our strength. We'll overcome this together." Emily, with tears in her eyes, hugged her mother. "Mom, I knew something special was going to happen to you. I believe in your angel, and I believe you will overcome this." Fátima held her children's and Oliver's hands, feeling the strength of her family's love. "I believe so too. And with you by my side, I know I can do this." Fátima went to the garden, where the sunlight gently touched the flowers. She knelt among the plants, feeling the soft earth beneath her fingers. She closed her eyes and began to pray, thanking for the new hope and asking for strength to fulfill her promise. "Guardian angel, thank you for this chance. Help me find the strength to overcome this battle and to help those who need me." A gentle breeze passed over her, like a comforting embrace. Fátima felt a deep peace and an unshakable determination. Later, Fátima returned to her meditation space, surrounded by crystals and candles. She sat in a lotus position, closed her eyes, and began to meditate. She visualized the figure of the angel, feeling his protective presence and the healing energy flowing through her. "I am ready for the battle ahead, and I am ready to fulfill my promise. Give me strength and courage." As she meditated, Fátima felt the angel's presence growing stronger. The energy flowed through her body, bringing a sense of renewal and hope. She felt a deep connection with the divine, as if she was truly being guided and protected. Tears ran freely down her face, but they were tears of joy and gratitude. At night, the family gathered again for dinner. This time, there was an atmosphere of renewal and hope. The table was filled with colorful dishes, lovingly prepared. "Today is a new beginning," Fátima said, holding Oliver and Reynold's hands. "Let's celebrate the life and hope we have found." Everyone raised their glasses, toasting to new hope. "To our mother, who always finds light in the darkness," Reynold said emotionally. Emily, with a bright smile, added, "Let's do this, Mom. Let's live fully together." Oliver looked at everyone at the table, holding Fátima's hand. "From now on, every day will be a celebration of the love and strength we have as a family. Let's support each other and make every second count." Can a dream really change the course of a life? Fátima receives a message that could change everything. Don't miss what's next and how it might alter her destiny. Against all odds, Fátima began to show signs of recovery. The doctors were perplexed, unable to explain the sudden improvement. Reynold and Emily were filled with joy and renewed hope. Fátima believed that her healing was a miracle, an answer to her prayers and the promise made to the angel. Her health improved with each passing day, and she began to envision a future beyond the illness. Fátima was back at the hospital for a routine checkup, sitting in the waiting room with Oliver, Reynold, and Emily. The environment was familiar, but the atmosphere was charged with new hope. When the doctor entered the examination room, his expression was one of pure bewilderment. "Mrs. Fátima, your latest tests show an impressive improvement. The tumor is shrinking in a way that we cannot scientifically explain," said the doctor, adjusting his glasses and reviewing the results several times. Fátima, with a sparkle in her eyes, smiled at her family. "I knew it. I knew something was changing." Another doctor entered the room, holding more test results. "This is incredible. In all my years of practice, I've never seen anything like this. The tumor is almost disappearing. It's as if it's being healed by a force we don't understand." Fátima, feeling better and more energetic each day, looked at her children and Oliver. "I feel more alive every morning. It feels as though a new energy is flowing within me." Oliver squeezed her hand, his eyes filled with tears. "It's a miracle, Fátima. You really are getting better." Emily, still emotional, said, "I knew something special was going to happen to you, Mom. I believe in your angel, and I believe you're going to overcome this." Back at home, Fátima felt life returning to her body. The chronic pain and extreme fatigue that had accompanied her daily began to fade. She no longer needed help getting out of bed, and her strength gradually returned. Reynold and Emily were in the living room with Fátima, watching her every move with a mix of hope and caution. "Mom, you really are improving. Your appearance is much better. Your color has returned to normal, and you're eating more. You seem more alive," said Reynold, his voice choked with emotion. Emily hugged her mother tightly. "I can't believe the transformation we're seeing. You're stronger, happier. It's truly a miracle." Fátima, with tears in her eyes, looked at her children and said, "I feel like I'm getting a second chance. This is an opportunity to make a difference, to live with purpose. I promise that I will do everything to honor this new chance that God and my guardian angel have given me. I will help others who are going through what I went through, and I will do it with all my heart." Fátima returned to the garden, where she felt more connected with life and nature. She walked among the flowers, touching them gently, feeling the vibrant energy of the earth and the air. "Guardian angel, thank you for this healing. I promise I will fulfill my promise to help others who are suffering. This is my new purpose," she murmured, feeling a gentle breeze that seemed to respond to her commitment. Later, Fátima returned to her meditation space, surrounded by crystals and candles. She sat in a lotus position, closed her eyes, and began to meditate. She felt the presence of the angel stronger than ever, a healing energy flowing through her. "I am ready for the battle that lies ahead, and I am ready to fulfill my promise. Give me strength and courage." As she meditated, Fátima visualized the angel's light, shining brightly and bathing her in warmth and love. She felt every cell in her body renewing itself, as if she were being reborn. The angel's presence was almost tangible, as if its wings of light were enveloping her, healing her with the pure divine energy of God. She felt a deep gratitude and an unshakable connection with the divine. That night, the family decided to celebrate at a special restaurant. It was the same expensive and cozy restaurant that Oliver and Fátima used to frequent before the children were born. The lights were soft, creating an intimate atmosphere, and a gentle piano music played in the background. The menu was exquisite, full of elaborate and delicious dishes. Fátima looked around the restaurant, the memories of the happy times she had spent there with Oliver filling her heart. "This place brings back so many good memories. Thank you for bringing me here," she said with a smile. Oliver held Fátima's hand, his eyes shining with love. "This is a new beginning for all of us. Let's celebrate the life and hope we've found." Everyone raised their glasses, toasting to new hope. "To our mother, who is an example of strength and faith. Let's make every moment count," said Reynold, his voice filled with emotion. Emily, with a bright smile, added, "Let's do it, Mom. Let's live life to the fullest, together." Oliver looked at everyone at the table, holding Fátima's hand. "From now on, every day will be a celebration of the love and strength we have as a family. Let's support each other and make every second count. When the impossible becomes reality, how does it redefine our existence?" Fátima experiences the unimaginable, and now she must find a new purpose for this life that is reborn. Recovering, Fátima reflected on her journey and the promise she had made. Determined to fulfill her mission, she began to assist other patients, sharing her story of hope and miracles. Using her knowledge of fengshui, Fátima helped bring balance and harmony to the lives of others in treatment. Her story inspired many, showing that even in the most desperate situations, faith and courage can create miracles. She also shared her faith and spoke about the power of God in her recovery. Back home, Oliver took the Bible, and together, the family began to pray. Their united voices asked God to continue blessing them and to strengthen Fátima. Filled with love, hope, and faith, they thanked God for the miracle they had experienced. Fátima became a volunteer at a cancer treatment center. She brought her Bible on every visit and taught the patients about the power of faith in God. Sitting with a group of patients in a cozy room, she shared her story. "I know how difficult this journey can be, but I want you to know that even in the darkest moments, faith can be a light. Believe that God is with you, just as He was with me. He hears our prayers and gives us strength to continue." The patients listened attentively, some with tears in their eyes, feeling hope rekindled. Fátima handed out small prayers and Bible verses she carried with her, offering words of comfort and encouragement. On a special visit, Fátima went to the home of a patient who was in critical condition. The house was simple, with light walls and few pieces of furniture. The patient, a middle-aged woman, was lying on a bed in the center of the room, surrounded by worried family members. "Thank you for coming, Fátima. I have heard so much about you and needed your presence here," said the patient, with a weak but grateful voice. Fátima sat beside the bed, holding the woman's hand. "I am here for you. Let's pray together, asking God and your guardian angel to protect and heal you." The two closed their eyes and began to pray. Fátima asked God to send His healing power and for the patient's guardian angel to always be by her side, caring for and protecting her. Fátima's words were filled with emotion, and the presence of the divine seemed to fill the room. "I feel a peace inside me that I haven't felt in a long time," said the patient, with tears in her eyes. "I feel that God is with me." Fátima smiled, feeling gratitude fill her heart. "He is dear, and I will be here to help you, as I promised my angel." At the treatment center, Fátima, now a well-known and beloved figure, helped people daily to find hope and strength in their struggles. She felt the presence of her guardian angel in every step she took, like an invisible presence surrounding her with love and light. One day, while walking through the corridors of the center, Fátima paused for a moment. A warm sensation enveloped her body, and she closed her eyes, feeling as if she were being embraced. She knew it was her guardian angel, accompanying and supporting her in her mission. Fátima smiled, feeling blessed to have been given a second chance and to be able to share that blessing with others. Thank you for watching Fátima's story. We hope you found inspiration and strength in her journey. Share this video with those who need a message of hope and overcoming. Together, we can spread positivity. Subscribe and activate notifications so you don't miss out.